What happens when a royal meet and greet implodes on live daytime TV? You're about to witness one of the most electric clashes in recent broadcast history. Prince Harry walks off The View after a no-holds-barred showdown with Joy Behar. This wasn't just another guest interview, it was a cultural Rorschach test. What America really thinks when royalty meets blunt-talking panelists. So before we dive in, smash that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and drop a comment. Were you Team Harry or Team Joy? It all started with anticipation and tension in equal measure. Prince Harry was reportedly willing to appear on The View as a bridge builder, hoping to open a dialogue about mental health advocacy and stigma. The audience welcomed him warmly, the cameras rolled, and for the first few minutes, the conversation was smooth and measured. Harry spoke eloquently about his foundation's work, his own mental health journey, and the importance of support systems. Everything seemed to be going according to plan until Joy Behar cut in. Joy, renowned for her unapologetic, off-the-cuff style, didn't wait for a friendly tone to settle in. She leaned forward, eyes locked on Harry, and asked, "You claim to promote healing and honesty, but how do you reconcile that with the royalties and deals you've secured since leaving the palace? Isn't there a contradiction in advocating humility while profiting off trauma?" The studio paused. Harry's face went calm at first, then betrayed a flicker of strain. He took a steadying breath and responded with quiet insistence. "Joy, I speak openly about my experiences because I believe it helps others feel less alone. Everything I've done since stepping back has been in service of those who suffer in silence." But Joy wasn't done. "You speak of service while your documentaries stream for millions, your memoir hits bestseller lists, and your speaking fees filter through charitable channels you control," she pressed on. "If healing is your goal, why not step out of the spotlight instead of leaning further into it?" That question landed like a punch. Harry's jaw tightened. The audience stirred. He tried to pivot. "I'm not here to defend my choices, I'm here to—" But Joy interrupted again, tone sharp. "But that's exactly it, isn't it? It always circles back to my choices. What about accountability?" It was a live TV version of a vice tightening, and Harry didn't react like a bruised royal. He reacted like a man under siege. He sat up, voice firm but clipped. "Accountability doesn't mean silence. You want me to step back, to fade? That won't help anyone." Joy leaned in, the corner of her mouth twitching into a half smile. "Then stick around and prove it. Let's see your account of transparency." That was the moment Harry reached his breaking point. He stood abruptly, his chair screeching against the floor as he moved toward the exit. With his back to the stage, he delivered one last line, "I'm done," and walked off The View, leaving cameras rolling and the audience gasping in stunned silence. The abrupt departure sent shockwaves online. Hashtags like #PrinceWalksOut, #JoyBeharWins, and #ViewGate trending within minutes. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, and even late-night hosts couldn't ignore it. Clips racked up millions of views as pundits raced to pick sides. It was a classic reveal. When privilege meets pressure, even a royal can crack. And it all happened on daytime television, off the script, unscripted, unforgettable. The air backstage was electric, charged, confused, and more than a little chaotic. As Prince Harry exited the main set of The View, producers rushed to cut to commercial, and whispers immediately spread through the audience like wildfire. A royal walkout wasn't just unusual, it was unprecedented. Cameras still rolled behind the scenes, but the tone had shifted from polished to panicked. And right in the eye of the storm was Harry himself, visibly rattled, flushed, and shaking his head as crew members tried to calm the situation. Back on stage, Joy Behar simply sat back in her chair, unfazed. She took a sip of her coffee, shot a look to co-host Sunny Hostin, and muttered into her mic, "Well, that was something." The other hosts didn't immediately know how to follow it up. Whoopi Goldberg attempted to ease the tension with a joke. Well, I guess not everyone likes hot topics, but the room hadn't settled yet. There was something deeply unsettling about seeing a public figure, so used to media control, unravel in real time. Behind the scenes, Harry reportedly asked the production team not to air the full segment. He was overheard saying, "This wasn't what I agreed to." It felt like an ambush, not a conversation. One insider claimed he was pacing the hallway outside his green room, venting to his security detail and a close aide. "I came to talk about mental health, not to be attacked for trying to rebuild my life." Meanwhile, Joy wasn't done. During the next live segment, she doubled down, speaking directly to the audience. "I've interviewed politicians, actors, CEOs, people who've actually had to work their way up. When you're born into royalty, maybe you think scrutiny is the same as suffering, but out here in the real world, people are held accountable. I don't regret a thing I said." That comment sparked instant reaction on social media. Supporters of Behar praised her for speaking truth to privilege, while royal watchers slammed her as disrespectful and hostile. But for many viewers, the deeper conversation was more complex. Can someone born into royalty ever be truly relatable, no matter how loudly they claim to understand ordinary struggle? As the backlash grew online, ABC executives huddled in damage control mode. The walk-off had clearly created viral magic, but also potential diplomatic drama. The British press was already picking up the story, spinning it as an American ambush of the Duke of Sussex. Headlines ranged from royal humiliation in New York to Prince Harry's media gamble explodes on daytime TV. And yet, even as the narrative spun wildly out of control, some observers noted something else entirely. Was this breakdown exactly what Harry had warned about all along? The sense of never being allowed to speak without judgment, of being invited only to be torn down, of media exploiting vulnerability for ratings. It was a paradox Harry himself had raised on camera just moments before things unraveled. By the end of the day, neither camp had issued official statements, but the fallout was already in motion. Twitter was split. TikTokers were reenacting the moment Harry stood up and left. Cable news shows were booking royal commentators and trauma experts to discuss whether Joy went too far or whether Harry's sensitivity proved he still wasn't ready for raw American press. And yet, the biggest question remained unanswered. Would Prince Harry return to TV at all? Or had Joy Behar just ended his U.S. media tour with a single pointed exchange? As news of the dramatic walk-off hit social media and major outlets picked up the story, the reaction was swift and deeply divided. Within just a few hours, #Prince Harry and #The View Clash were trending simultaneously on Twitter. Clips of the moment Harry stood up, removed his microphone, and exited the stage mid-conversation flooded TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram Reels. In the era of digital virality, this wasn't just a controversial interview, it was now a full-blown media firestorm. Back at the studio, producers were scrambling. According to sources close to the show, internal conversations immediately began about whether the segment should air unedited, be trimmed, or held altogether. There was real fear among the executive team that airing the entire exchange could be seen as an attack on mental health, a topic Harry had intended to speak on during the segment. But others on the production side believed airing it in full was essential, if only to avoid being accused of sanitizing the truth. And of course, they knew one thing for certain: the more raw the moment, the higher the views. While staff debated the ethics of airing the footage, Harry was being ushered out through a private exit. Witnesses say he refused to speak further to producers and had what appeared to be a tense conversation with a close aide in the hallway. According to someone on set, Harry was visibly furious, not just shaken, but really angry, and repeated the phrase, "They set me up," several times under his breath. His security team ensured a swift exit, and within minutes, the SUV carrying the Duke of Sussex pulled away from the studio lot. Inside that vehicle, what reportedly followed was a conversation just as revealing as the on-air clash itself. According to a royal correspondent with ties to Harry's camp, Meghan Markle, who had been watching the show live from their Montecito home, was the first to call. She was furious, protective, and deeply concerned, and sources close to her say she immediately began making calls to publicists and legal advisors. Meghan has always taken a more strategic approach to media appearances, and this incident, in her view, proved exactly why she had been hesitant about Harry appearing on unpredictable, live daytime television. Back in New York, Joy Behar remained unapologetic. In fact, she was doubling down. On her personal X, formerly Twitter account, she posted, "If telling the truth makes a prince uncomfortable, maybe it's the fairy tale that needs rewriting." That tweet alone garnered hundreds of thousands of likes and just as many replies. Supporters called her brave and bold. Critics accused her of being callous and exploiting mental health struggles for ratings. Meanwhile, palace insiders were reportedly monitoring the situation closely. Although Harry and Meghan are no longer working royals, the monarchy remains extremely sensitive to how the Sussexes' public behavior reflects on the family. A source within the British press claimed that advisors to King Charles were deeply displeased and considered the incident to be yet another stain on the family's already battered media reputation. But here's where it gets more complicated. Was Joy Behar really out of line? Or was this the inevitable result of a public figure who built a brand on candidness suddenly being held to the same standards he demands of others? After all, Harry has spent the past 3 years speaking out on podcasts, Netflix specials, high-profile interviews, and in a widely publicized memoir about the dysfunction, racism, and trauma within the royal family. When that same level of scrutiny turned toward him, it appeared to strike a nerve he wasn't ready to face. Some fans noted the irony. One viral tweet read, "Harry can write a whole book about his family and expect us to nod and say thank you, but when Joy Behar asks a hard question, it's suddenly too much." Others pointed out the cultural disconnect. Perhaps Harry expected the politeness of British media, where taboos are navigated delicately. But in America, particularly on The View, even presidents get grilled. As the hours passed, online discourse continued to heat up. The Sussex defenders began pushing a counter-narrative that Joy Behar had cornered and ridiculed a trauma survivor. That the moment wasn't journalism, it was provocation. That Harry was right to walk out. But others saw it differently. They argued that Harry's brand of truth-telling only works when he's in control of the narrative. And when that control is stripped away, the polished, prepared version of Prince Harry quickly gives way to a man deeply uncomfortable being on the receiving end of his own candor. By the end of the week, one thing was clear. The incident was more than just a viral clip. It had touched a nerve about media culture, privilege, trauma, and accountability. And even though neither side had issued an official statement, the silence only fed the flames. News outlets, blogs, and YouTubers alike were dissecting every moment, every gesture, and every quote from the interview, and millions of people were watching it all unfold in real time. And here's the kicker. Sources inside ABC have confirmed that The View's producers are now in talks about airing a full unseen footage special, featuring behind-the-scenes drama, reactions from the hosts, and possibly even a follow-up panel to unpack the fallout. In other words, the drama isn't over, it's just getting started. If you thought a royal walk-off was dramatic, wait until you see what happens when the industry tries to spin it into primetime gold. And if you've been following this story as closely as we have, you know it's only heating up. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and leave a comment down below. Do you think Joy went too far? Or was Prince Harry simply unprepared for real-world accountability? The fallout from Prince Harry's exit on The View wasn't just a PR crisis, it quickly turned into an all-out media battlefield. Within 48 hours, publicists, pundits, and cultural commentators were all weighing in. But behind the scenes, a far more personal and revealing drama was playing out. Meghan Markle, according to several credible insiders, was not just upset, she was furious. And what she did next took everyone by surprise. After Harry's abrupt exit, Meghan reportedly jumped on a transatlantic video call with her media team and crisis advisors. One source with direct knowledge described her tone as controlled but cold, saying she immediately demanded answers. Why was the interview not more tightly managed? Why weren't producers briefed more thoroughly? Why was Joy Behar allowed to go so far? But those in the media world had a different take. Meghan wasn't just trying to protect her husband, she was also trying to control the narrative. And when that narrative slipped out of their hands, the gloves came off. What happened next was a clear shift in strategy. Rather than lay low, Meghan decided to seize the moment. Just 2 days after the interview aired, a carefully worded joint statement was released to multiple outlets, in which the Sussexes called for more civility in the media, especially when discussing issues of trauma, family, and healing. But for many, it was too little too late. Critics were quick to point out that Harry had willingly stepped into the spotlight time and again, on Oprah, in Spare, on Netflix, and that trying to rewrite the rules mid-game wasn't just unfair, it was unrealistic. Meanwhile, The View was capitalizing on the moment. ABC executives reportedly greenlit a special segment titled When Royals Collide, behind the scenes of the Prince Harry clash, which would air the following week. According to inside sources, the network saw this not as a scandal, but as an opportunity. Ratings from the original episode had spiked dramatically, some saying it was the show's most watched segment in years, and executives weren't about to let the momentum slip away. But perhaps the most surprising twist came when a leaked clip, unseen in the original airing, surfaced online. In it, during the commercial break just before Harry's walk-off, Joy Behar is heard saying, off mic but clearly audible, "Look, if he can dish it, he can take it." That one line sent the internet ablaze. Supporters of Behar hailed her as fearless. Critics called it disrespectful. But what everyone agreed on was that it offered a rare glimpse into the unscripted chaos of live television and the increasingly blurred lines between entertainment and truth. Even longtime supporters of Harry and Meghan began to ask difficult questions. Was their constant media presence doing more harm than good? Were they truly advocating for change, or just managing a personal brand built on grievance? More than one royal watcher noted that, ironically, Harry's refusal to be challenged on air mirrored the exact kind of entitlement he'd spent years trying to leave behind. And then came the final blow, one that even the Sussex couldn't have anticipated. According to one report, a prominent mental health charity that had been in talks to partner with Harry on an awareness campaign quietly pulled out, citing concerns over tone and public perception. It was a subtle move, but in the world of celebrity advocacy, it was devastating. Harry's credibility, long protected by his royal title and tragic origin story, had taken a hit. And now, even allies were backing away. Yet through it all, Joy Behar remained unapologetic. In the next episode of The View, she addressed the situation head-on. "Listen," she told viewers, "we ask real questions on this show. If someone comes here expecting a tea party, they're in the wrong place." That single sentence earned applause from the studio audience and sent yet another shockwave through the ongoing debate. Behar wasn't just standing her ground. She was owning the moment. As for Harry, insiders say he's retreated from the media circuit, at least temporarily. Meghan, meanwhile, is reportedly reviewing every pending media engagement, tightening up vetting processes, and ensuring that nothing like this ever happens again. But the damage may already be done. What was meant to be another stop on a carefully crafted public image tour had turned into a cautionary tale about ego, control, and the dangers of live, unscripted truth. And so, the chapter closes not with resolution, but with a lingering question. In the world of modern celebrity, can anyone, royal or not, truly control the narrative once it's been released into the wild? That's where we leave you. for now. But trust us, this story is far from over. If you've made it this far, you're clearly as invested in the drama as we are, so don't miss what comes next. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a like if you love real talk over royal spin, and drop a comment below. Was Harry justified in walking out, or did Joy Behar simply hold up a mirror he didn't want to face? We're reading every word, and you won't want to miss what's coming next.